How are you?
I'm good. Hey, can you see me?
No.
Why? Oh,
There we go. Now I can see you. Hi, how's it going?
yeah, I'm kind of running from A to B today. I'm just my boss hosted like a conference here, and I didn't know about that. And she emailed me this morning, oh yeah, can you attend this? And the talks went on until like 5 minutes ago. And then she was like, oh yeah, can you talk to them? Can talk to them tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, I do have a meeting now, but I can talk to them tomorrow.
Nice.
And
Boundaries.
yeah.
There you
But
go.
yeah, no, they are all off to dinner now anyway. So I was like, okay, that's at least I have like a reason to leave as well.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you for popping on. I am excited just to number one, celebrate you, hear your experience, working with me inside the academy. And I've told you this so many times, but there's always just been something about you. Like ever since you joined the Master Your Mind program, then you joined Conquer and you were like upgraded right away to the academy. And I'm like, there's just something about you where I'm like, you're just going to the top, you're going to conquer. So I'd love to know, like, even before working with me, where were you at with your relationship with food? Were you like, let's go back in time, like what you were specifically struggling with, why you wanted some support. Like, let's just go back a little bit in time.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I it's hard to say when it started. So I was very overweight all my life, and but I never really thought of food a lot. So
Mm.
when COVID started, I first started to intentionally trying to lose weight, and then that worked really well as well. And I lost a lot of weight in a very short amount of time. And but I feel like in that process, as the time went on, I deemed more and more food as unhealthy and off limits, that I can't have that. And when I had it, and then I don't know, stepped on the scale and gained some weight back, I was like, okay, no, you can't have that anymore. And then it got kind of out of hand. So I went from severely overweight to basically anorexic within a year. And I gained now some weight back, which is important. But yeah, but ever since I still have like that mindset. It's like, oh, yeah, some of the foods I can't have that, or when I have it and it's like, okay, yeah, you screwed up your day already, might as well just have everything and start fresh tomorrow. And I think that was my biggest issue, starting to work with you, that all or nothing mindset is like, oh yeah, you, I don't know, had a cupcake and it's like, oh yeah, you already kind of blew your day, so might as well just have everything you can't have today and then start on a fresh slate tomorrow.
Such a common mindset. And I've watched you really like break out of that mentality, even when it comes to your routines. Like you literally moved across the country, right? You like your routines had to shift and your habits needed to shift. You've been able to, have some of these different foods like peanut butter and go out to social events without really getting into that mindset. And I know social events were even something that you really wanted to work on as well too. And for you, what do you believe was the most helpful tool in terms of being able to like navigate these social events without feeling like I messed up today, without feeling like, oh, like it's ruined? Like what has really supported you, because you do have a lot of social events, and what has supported you in not getting in that screw it mentality?
I think one of the biggest things is just the rephrasing of I can have this food anytime I want. So it's not just today is that and that party. We have a social event at work. That's the only time I'm gonna have this. I can buy the foods whenever I want myself. I don't have to eat it just because it's there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was a big shift in my mindset, just reassuring myself this is not your only opportunity to have this. And even I have to travel a lot for work as well, and I am like in different countries. And yes, you might not be able to get that specific cuisine in the most authentic way again, but still having the mindset is like, oh yeah, if you want that again, you can go to, I don't know, I've been to Thailand in the summer. You can go to a Thai restaurant close to you. It might not be as nice as you've imagined it from there, but you can definitely have something similar again. So you don't need to have it all now.
Yes. So good. So good. And you even had peanut butter on your counter, wasn't it, for like a few weeks? And you're like, I could have it if I wanted to. Like, I'd love for you to even talk about that because peanut butter is like a big trigger food for so many people. And it was for you as well,
Yeah.
too. But you were able to leave it on the counter and just like have some whenever you wanted, but it wasn't really a big deal. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I feel peanut butter was one of the trickiest things for me, and I was sometimes close to giving up to trying to solve my issues with it. Because like whenever I got a jar, like sometimes it would be gone like within a day or two. But yeah, I kept buying it. I kept having it. I added it to my oatmeal. Sometimes just had like a bagel with some peanut butter and just show myself it's a regular food. You don't need to go all the way overboard with it. And yeah, at some point I had it with my oatmeal basically every day, and then sometimes like in the evening, either yeah, like a bagel or an apple with peanut butter. And at some point I kind of got sick of it. And
Yes.
yeah, I left the jar sitting on my counter. I first had it in my cupboards, but they were kind of overflowing. So I was like, oh yeah, this is like a big jar. Just put it on the windowsill. So it was sitting there, and I think it was still there by the time I left my apartment, like when I moved out. And yeah, I had it when I wanted it, but yeah, it was there for weeks, if not like over a month.
Like that's just incredible that you didn't give up with this big trigger food. And I see this all the time. It's like, no, I'm never going to make peace with this food. Like you don't understand. This is like a very big slippery slope. And you really leaned in and you trusted the process, not just with peanut butter, but throughout this whole journey. And so what helped you not give up? Like, yeah, there was a little piece in your mind that was like, oh, I don't know, but like you just kept on going. What was that thing that really led you to say like, no, I'm going to make this work. I am going to make peace with peanut butter and I am going to conquer my binge eating. What was that thing that kept on driving you to just not give up?
I'm just so sick of having food ruling my life.
Yep.
So whenever I go somewhere, whenever I friends made plans with me, my first thought was like, oh, what is there going to be? Is there anything I'm comfortable eating with? And I do have a good few of food intolerances, and most of my friends and everyone knows, so they accommodate for that. But I didn't want to be like extra picky. It's like, oh no, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I just want to go there. And it's like, okay, yeah, I might order a pizza without cheese because I know I'm not doing well with the cheese, but I'm fine to have the pizza like everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think having, especially within the academy, having the community that you can come to any time, like when I didn't feel like, I don't know, using the tools, or when I had a bad day, you can go into the academy, into the Slack channel, put it up, and everyone has like some sort of positive comment for you. It's like, yes, it might look like a setback, but XYZ is actually a huge win that you might not see in yourself. And just having the support of other people who actually know what you're going through, because I don't really speak about the binge eating disorder with most of my friends or family. So there's my close friends, they know, but I don't want to share my life. I don't post anything on social media or whatever. So it's just something, if you haven't been through it, it's really hard to understand what goes through your mind. And having a community of people who exactly know what you're talking about and what goes through your mind while all of this is happening is huge. And I think that was a very big support for me. And then within Conquer, and like it was included in the academy as well, all the different kind of trainings that you have to a different topic. So I started with Master Your Mind because that was like my mindset was, I think, my biggest issue. But then sometimes I saw myself more habitually snacking, even though I wasn't hungry, especially in the evenings. So that was break the late night binge
Late
or
night
something like
binge.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was like a lot of information as well. And then recently the eat normally. So because ever since I lost so much weight, I am so focused on what I eat, like thinking about what I'm going to have a week in advance and not just like tuning into my body what I want in the moment.
Yeah.
And now that I'm better at like making my meals satisfying, thinking about what do you actually want to have, it's a lot easier to stop when I'm full unsatisfied as well and not just like finish my plate because it's there.
Yes. And you have gotten so much better with fullness cues. Like fullness cues is always so much more challenging for people than
Yes.
hunger cues, right? And I know you've recently been sharing, like, I have been getting better at stopping when I'm full.
Yeah.
And like, for even for that, was there like a mindset or like a specific tool that has supported you in like, okay, I know that I'm full and also I don't need to finish my plate. Was there anything specifically that supported you with that?
I feel for me it was like just slowing down now that I have moved across the continent and I am on my own here. Like when I come home for dinner, I can just like relax on the couch. I don't have like a kitchen table I can eat at. So just sit on the couch, have my dinner. I don't have to take care of anyone else. Like whenever I'm visiting my family, it's like, okay, this and this at 12:30 it's lunchtime, so we're gonna have lunch like as a family, even though like I might not be hungry for it. And then at 6 o'clock it's dinner time, so we're all gonna eat. And now I just have like my own routine. And first, when I got into the whole intuitive eating, it's like, okay, you feel hungry again. Why are you like you just ate an hour ago? And like in my head, I was like arguing with myself, yeah, should you eat now or should you not eat? You have just eaten like an hour ago. But now I'm like, okay, it's like you feel hungry, you should have a snack.
Mm,
And with getting full, that's the same thing. I can feel the food not tasting as good anymore, or me just not like paying attention. I know I should eat less distracted, so I usually just put on the TV while I'm eating. Um, and I should really like focus more maybe on the food. But I feel like if I don't have anything going on in the background, either watch TV or read a book while I'm eating, I just shove down my food and be done. And then so actually being distracted in inverted commas helps me to slow down and really recognize, okay, you're actually full. You don't need to finish your plate.
yeah. Oh, I actually love that you mentioned that because that is you 100% listening to your intuition. It's like I found what works best for me, and I always encourage you guys to do that. It's like I can share all these tools and strategies, and it's like some are going to resonate and some you're going to be like, hey, like this is actually what works for me. And I think that's amazing. So besides the community and having other badasses like support you and feel so seen and feel less alone, what was different from the process that I use of like, rewiring your brain? How is that different than like what you've done in the past? Like, obviously you've done the whole like weight loss thing. A lot of people listening have gone on diets before, they've lost weight before, but how is like what I've actually taught inside of the program, rewiring your brain, different than anything that you've ever done before?
I think before I was never told that binge eating is a habit. It was more, yeah, kind of something's wrong with you. So I tried therapy as well. I was like, oh yeah, it's all from your childhood. You had a traumatic childhood, and you were basically this is how you grew up with. So it's kind of ingrained in you. But seeing it as like, okay, this is something kind of I trained myself to do, so I can untrain myself to do it as well. That was something that didn't that like fully resonated with me in the beginning, and something I haven't really seen from that angle before.
Yeah. It's it's so easy to think like I'm broken because nobody talks about this. Just like you even shared, like you don't openly talk about this with other people. And so other people aren't going to openly talk about it. And that's why so many people struggle in silence because it's like nobody else talks about this. Like I must be broken. Right. And a lot of people have tried the therapy route. Like maybe you know my story too of like I tried therapy and it was the same thing. It was like, how's your childhood? And let's go back to your childhood. But it's just like it's just this habit that's been ingrained into the brain. And so I'm glad that you had that epiphany moment and that was very supportive for you. Any wins or any, obviously we shared a few, but any like breakthroughs or any like aha moments or like special wins that you want to just kind of share in terms of like being inside the academy, going through this journey? Like I've just seen you completely transform your relationship with food, but I'd love to hear if there's anything that like stood out that you want to just take a moment to celebrate.
So yeah, the peanut butter thing was a big one. And then at some point when I like thought back about it, I was like, oh yeah, I feel like at that point I couldn't think of any proper breakthrough moments, but I think it's just the small things adding up, like food not being constantly on my mind anymore, not having massive anxiety going into social events or like canceling on friends just because I don't wanna eat whatever is there or I'm not sure what they're gonna have. And then especially yeah with the social events, that's still sometimes a bit something that I struggle with a bit. And I feel like today was actually a really good day, and I'm kind of proud of how I handled it. So because we had like this, my boss had like a some sort of a conference scheduled where I wasn't like planned to take part in, but then she was like, "Oh, this could be very interesting for you. Do you want to join?" So I spent the whole day running between that conference and doing my own work, having meetings and everything. I didn't have really time to sit down for a proper lunch, and they served a variety of food and cakes and desserts and whatever. And before I would have had the mindset is like, oh yeah, you didn't eat any of your prepared lunch, like your day is screwed, so you might as well go all out. But it's like, yeah, I had sneaking back into the conference, I brought like a sandwich with me, had a cookie with it as well, and they had like mini apple pies, and I had a bite of that apple pie, and it was really soggy, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to finish that. Like, I don't want to waste food, but this is just not great, so why should I eat it? And yeah, in general, not like getting rid of that perfectionist mindset is like,
Yes.
oh yeah, I had a cookie, I had a brownie, I had this. My day is screwed up because I didn't eat perfectly as I planned to have do it. Yeah, as I planned to eat. And now it's more like, okay, yeah, this was the most convenient in the situation. I know this is not something I do every day, but it's not about what you do most every now and then. It's what you do most of the time. And I am meal prepping. I bring healthy snacks and lunches for work. And if then there's a day where I have, I don't know, a few more cookies than I would have on another day, it's like, I'm going to survive that.
Yeah. And it's just like it wasn't that big of a deal. And something it's so interesting because you went from struggling with this crazy all or nothing mentality where if you had a cookie midday, it'd be like, oh, F it, the day's ruined. And now it's like you intentionally sometimes have a cookie with your lunch, which actually prevents you from binging. And I think
Yeah.
so many people are scared of that. And something that I've always known about you, Louisa, is you've always leaned into the fear. And anytime I suggest something to you, you always like go with it. And I'm curious, like, have you always been that way? Or was it just like, I'm just so fed up, like whatever Lorna says, like I'm going to implement because you didn't hesitate. Like, yeah, there was fear, but you still did it anyways.
I feel like on one hand, I was like this most of the time because I feel like whenever someone tells me to do something, I do it, which can be a bad thing as well because I'm very bad at saying no. But I'm trying to now like stand up for more for myself as well. But yeah, from my history, like when I'm told to do something, I usually do it. And in this case, it was a very good thing because it was something that's definitely pushing me forward, push me closer to my goals. And now that yeah, I moved countries and live in my own apartment. I don't know. I first was a bit hesitant as well, but everything here is a lot cheaper if you buy it in bulk. So I bought like snacks in bulk and they're just sitting in my cupboard, and I bring something to work. I have like a bunch of like variety of snacks here in case like today if there's like a late night and I need something just to keep me going during the commute home, so I'm not like ravenous when I come home for dinner. And yeah, it might not be like the healthiest thing. Like I have some, I don't know, mandarin oranges, but I also have a tiny packet of crisps or like a granola. But whenever I feel like something, I just grab something and don't think about like 3 times. I'm like, okay, how many calories is now in this pack of crisps, and what can I then still have this and this and this for dinner? So I just grab it because I know I'm gonna be ravenous and gonna be overeating at dinner if I don't eat it now.
Yeah. And you're literally preventing urges, which is why you have not had an urge in so long, or even like a binge, right? Because you're you're taking the steps to prevent it. And so many people are scared of having, let's say, the cookie with lunch or bringing these snacks with them, which is actually causing them to binge. And you haven't had a binge really because it's like you're actually preventing them from
Yeah.
happening, which is massive.
Yeah.
Just so huge. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
and getting rid of like the mindset as well. It's like, yeah, as I said, it's like, oh yeah, you've just eaten like an hour ago. You can't be hungry. It's like your
Mhm.
body tells you you are, so just honor it.
Yes.
And I had some hormonal issues as well. And with that, it wasn't like a proper meal plan, like we discussed it. So I wasn't put on a meal plan because I said that's going to be too rigid for me.
Yeah.
I was giving like portion recommendations, and then when I looked at it, the portions were massive. So I eat like I usually don't eat massive portions. So I have like something small for breakfast, then a snack, lunch, then a snack and dinner, rather than like three big meals because I just can't finish all of it. And even though the meal plan recommended 3 meals a day, I was like, no, I know this is not going to work for me. So now I have like yogurts and granola and everything like stored here in our kitchen as well because I know I need that mid-morning snack. I need that mid-afternoon snack because I just don't want to overfill myself having just like 3 large meals because I know this is not going to feel good for me.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, I just want you to hear what Louisa just said. Like, there has been food sensitivities. There have been some hormonal things going on, which a lot of you guys listening, I'm sure, have potentially experienced as well too. And Louisa was actually working with a different professional who kind of put her on somewhat of a meal plan, not super rigid, but she was still working with me on her relationship with food. And why I want to bring this up is because you like it's so important to get your relationship with food on the right path. The reason why Louise is able to, work on her hormones and gut health and all these other areas is because she's actively working on her relationship with food. And Louise, I'd love to even hear from you, like, do you believe that you would have been able to work on the hormonal aspect if you didn't actually get the support in terms of getting rid of your urges and healing your relationship with food?
I would say probably no, or at least not to the extent that I was able to do it now. Because in that recommended food plan that I got from the hormone coach, there were a lot of foods that I would deem off limits before, and like I would like judge myself having it. Or when it's at, for example, I don't know, roughly between half a cup and a cup of rice, and was like, oh no, I'm never going to eat that many carbs. So I would like cut it down to like a third cup maximum, or other foods that support my hormones. Is like, oh no, I'm not going to eat that. And like when I lost so much weight, I basically ate no carbs and barely any fats, and fats are so important for your hormones. Like now I pour olive oil over my salad, add avocado, eat a lot of salmon, and that would be something I like. Salmon and avocado would be something I would occasionally have as well because I really like the taste of it, but I would never drench my salad in olive oil. It's like, no, this is like empty calories that you definitely don't need. And yeah, by just like working with you, I normalized all of that, and that helped me with my hormonal issues as well.
And it's like everyone's so scared of like fat and olive oil. And I'm like, that's like so important for your hormones. Like if you want energy, if you want to feel good, it's like you need fat, you need carbs. Like it's not even like, oh my God, what are the calories? It's like I intentionally add those things. You intentionally now add those things because you know the importance and you're just feeling so much better. And I think that's important for everyone listening. It's not about the calories, it's about health. And Louisa, you're also getting so much healthier in this process of healing your relationship with food as well too.
Yeah, now so say for my oatmeal in the morning as well, like when I add peanut butter, I can feel usually like I just like roughly measure out portions so I know like I don't want to waste food, so I know this is roughly the portion that I eat. And when I put I don't always put peanut butter or any other nut butters on it, but if I do, I usually never finish it because it's just like it's not, yeah, all about the calories. It's just like it satisfies me more and
Yes.
keeps me fuller for longer.
Yes. So good. How peanut butter, nut butter just makes everything better. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
um
I'm very proud of myself. Since I live in the US, I was like, oh, you're probably going to have peanut butter and jelly, like sandwiches and bagels every day. And I only had two so far. So,
there you go. Because also you just normalized it.
yeah,
It's not like it's not a big deal anymore.
yeah.
Huge. So as we wrap up here, I'd love to know how improving your relationship with food has impacted other areas of your life because when you're not thinking about food as much, when you're not obsessing over calories, you're able to stop when you're full. Like, how has being inside of the academy, being working with me, how has that impacted other areas of your life?
I feel like I'm more outgoing. So I'm usually I'm very introvert, so I don't like big crowds of people. But even I don't know, meeting a friend and then spontaneously go for lunch or go for dinner that wasn't planned. Um, stop at the bakery and have a croissant rather than just sitting there and drinking black coffee because it doesn't have any calories in it. That was a huge thing, and yeah, with like food not occupying my mind all the time anymore, it's more, I just have, yeah, more mental capacity to see what's around me. Like if I say go for a walk, it's not like, okay, yeah, now it's 4:30, in like 1.5 hours, it's dinner time. What are you gonna making? I was like, no, I just go for a walk and enjoy now the leaves changing, or sit
Mm.
at a lake, read a book, and it's like, oh yeah, you feel a bit hungry, it's time to go home and make something, and just not like obsessing anymore. It's like, okay, yeah, do you have like half a cup of rice this evening and like 5 ounces of chicken, or do you want the beef instead? And so just having, yeah, just seeing what I want in the moment and not having like a strict plan of how my day is going to look like. And if I deviate from the plan that I have set in my mind, I ruin my day basically.
Yeah. Yeah. You've come so far with that all or nothing mentality. So far. And actually, one other thing, you've literally moved like continents.
Yeah.
And that was stressful. There was anxiety. There was a lot of emotions. And I would love for you to share how you still continue to make progress despite that, because a lot of people will say, oh, I'm stressed, like I can't heal my relationship with food, or I binge because I'm stressed. But you've still made incredible progress even though in those times you were really stressed out. So if you want to share maybe even like what was supportive, or like how were you able to feel stressed, feel anxious, and also still not binge in like these crazy stressful times of moving away.
Yeah, I thought about that. But I think at that point when I got the news that I'm going to be moving countries in like a couple of months' time, I think I was already so far. I already progressed so far that
Mm.
food wasn't the main thing on my mind anymore. And with getting everything sorted out, like the visa especially was a big stressor for me because it took so long. Um, but I I actually can't remember why I didn't I didn't turn to food. It was just not a thing that was on my mind in that moment. But I had it before when I got stressed. I would whatever is, I don't know, in the drawer of my desk, I would just like randomly snack on it, telling myself, "Oh, you're stressed, you deserve it." But yeah, with all the moving and everything sorting out, like finding a new apartment, getting rid of everything that was in my old apartment, it was just not on my mind.
And that's just a testament of you putting in the work and healing your relationship with food, where it's like, oh, like food wasn't even really on my mind, which is massive.
Yeah, and even though like in those times I didn't really join most of the coaching calls that we have, especially because back then I was still living in Europe and most of the coaching calls were like at 1 a.m. for me. So occasionally, if it was like at 11 p.m., I would join it. But most of the time, the times were very inconvenient for me. But even just being able to ask a question or have some write down some concerns in the Slack channel that we had and getting answers to that, even if I couldn't join the calls, that was a big help.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you shared that. And for everyone listening, Louise is proof. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's like one of the benefits of being inside of the program is doesn't matter where you are, you can still get your question answered, especially, if you're inside of Conquer or the Academy, it's like you're still going to get your question answered. And a lot of the times people watch things on replay, and I know like you've done that a few times as well too, just hearing the answers that I give to other people and just really feeling less alone. It really is a big support for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your heart. You have made so much progress and I'm just so proud of you. Is there any last final words that you want to share with anyone listening?
Yeah, overall, I really, really recommend the Academy. Like it's that personalized support that can really help you. Conquer is really good as well, especially you get like all the extra trainings and the replays for it. So it's a load of information at once. But I think joining the Academy was the big changing point for me. Just having that support whenever you need it, having a group of people who understand you, who are as committed as you are, and yeah, that's invaluable.
Totally. Yeah. Well, thank you. It's been so fun having you inside of the Academy and having you inside of Conquer as well too. So I'm just so grateful. Thank you for sharing your heart. Everyone's going to be so inspired by your story and what you're able to overcome despite moving and, traveling all the time. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you came on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, we'll chat with you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye.